Noon, wherever you are in the world. Happy Monday. I hope everyone is having a blessed day. And welcome to another reading of the New Living Translation Bible, where we will continue to read through God's holy word and learn about God's holy plan that He has for us and how God works in each of our lives. So, I've been loving growing in community with everyone, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe and comment where you're watching from. I hope that you will enjoy this reading of mine and that we can grow in God together and live Christ-like lives while we go out into the world and spread love and peace. So, today we'll be reading about the death of Abraham, so it'll be a solemn chapter. Let us begin. Chapter 25, the death of Abraham. Abraham married another wife, whose name was Keturah. Now remember that Abraham's wife passed, and it wasn't uncommon for men to get remarried once their spouse had deceased. She gave birth to Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan was the father of Sheba and Dedan. Dedan's descendants were the Asherites, Letushites, and Leumanites. Midian's sons were Ephah, Epher, Hanuk, Abida, and Alda. These were all descendants of Abraham through Keturah. So we see that his second wife Keturah gave him more descendants. And let's remember that promise that God had made to Abraham that he was going to turn him into a fruitful nation. Abraham gave everything he owned to his son Isaac. But before he died, he gave gifts to the sons of his concubines and sent them off to a land in the east, away from Isaac. So we see here that Isaac is still the one that God will work through. Abraham lived for 175 years, and he died at a ripe old age, having lived a long and satisfying life. He breathed his last and joined his ancestors in death. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah near Mamre, in the field of Ephron, son of Soher the Hittite. This was the field Abraham had purchased from the Hittites and where he had buried his wife Sarah. So we see that Abraham was buried next to Sarah in the field that he bought from the Hittites when he was at the city gate. After Abraham's death, God blessed his son Isaac, who settled near Bir Lahai Roy in the Negev. Ishmael's descendants. So now we're about to read about Ishmael's descendants. This is the account of the family of Ishmael, the son of Abraham through Hagar, Sarah's Egyptian servant. Here is a list by their names and clans of Ishmael's descendants. The oldest was Nebaioth, followed by Kedar, Adheel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tima, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedmei. These 12 sons of Ishmael became the founders of 12 tribes named after them, listed according to the places they settled and camped. Ishmael lived for 137 years. So we see that back then people were living well past 100, even into their 130s. Then he breathed his last and joined his ancestors in death. Ishmael's descendants occupied the region from Havilah Shur, which is east of Egypt, in the direction of Ashur. There they lived in open hostility toward all their relatives. So we see that Ishmael's descendants from very early on were living in open hostility. but we can also see God working his plan, and we're going to see how God will allow this plan to unfold in his path that he had already planned. The birth of Esau and Jacob. This is the account of the family of Isaac, the son of Abraham. When Isaac was 40 years old, he married Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel the Aramean from Padan Aram, and the sister of Laban the Aramean. Isaac pleaded with the Lord on behalf of his wife, because she was unable to have children. The Lord answered Isaac's prayer, and Rebekah became pregnant with twins. But the two children struggled with each other in her womb, so she went to ask the Lord about it. "Why is this happening to me?" she asked. And we can already see the rivalry between the two twins already starting even within the womb. And the Lord told her, "The sons in your womb will become two nations. From the very beginning, the two nations will be rivals. One nation will be stronger than the other, and your older son will serve your younger son." So we already see that God has already declared that the older son will serve the younger son, and it will be two nations that struggle against each other. And when the time came to give birth, Rebekah discovered that she did indeed have twins. So she finally gave birth to the twins, and let's remember that these are real people and this actually happened. The first one was very red at birth and covered with thick hair like a fur coat. So they named him Esau. Then the other twin was born with his hand grasping Esau's heel. So they named him Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when the twins were born. So we see that in this time it was quite often for people in an older age to have children. Esau sells his birthright. As the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter. So we see that Esau took to hunting and he became very skillful at it. He was an outdoorsman, but Jacob had a quiet temperament, preferring to stay at home. So we see that Jacob preferred to be at home and probably to do like household chores and help outside around the house and that kind of stuff. Isaac loved Esau because he enjoyed eating the wild game Esau brought home, but Rebekah loved Jacob. So we see that each of them kind of already have their favorites, and I think that we could still see that today in some families where parents might favor one child and the other parent might favor the other. One day, when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau arrived home from the wilderness, exhausted and hungry. Esau said to Jacob, "I'm starved. Give me some of that red stew." This is how Esau got his name Edom, which means red. So now we see that that's how Esau got its name Edom, which means red. He wanted some of the red stew because he was starved after being out all day. "All right," Jacob replied, "but trade me your rights as the firstborn son." So we see that Jacob may not know it, but he's already taking advantage of someone. "Hey, how are you? Thank you for joining. I hope all is good." "Look, I'm dying of starvation," said Esau. "What good is my birthright to me now?" So we see that Esau is cursing his birthright already. But Jacob said, "First you must swear that your birthright is mine." So Esau swore an oath, thereby selling all his rights as the firstborn to his brother Jacob. "Hey, thank you for joining, my friend. Happy Monday. I hope everything is going well with you." So we see that Esau sold his birthright just for some stew. "Hello, my friend. Hola. I hope all is good." Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and lentil stew. Esau ate the meal, then got up and left. He showed contempt for his rights as a firstborn. And that wraps up chapter 25. So we see that Esau showed contempt for his firstborn rights. Blessings to you also, my friend. Thank you for joining us while we read through the Bible and learn about God's plan. And let's remember that these people are real. So Esau and Jacob are real people and they existed at one time. And that this is how it played out between them. And we will continue to see how Esau and Jacob will struggle against each other for quite some time in the coming chapters. So I think that's interesting to see. And I ask myself, do we see that in between siblings today? Do we sometimes struggle against our siblings and we have that kind of competition? Thank you for joining me, and join me tomorrow for reading chapter 26, where Isaac deceives Abimelech. So that'll be very interesting. I pray that you have a blessed night. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget to have a blessed week. Thank you for joining.